Welcome to Chris and Carlette Live, a podcast about life, love, and overcoming obstacles. Each week, we discuss the good, the bad, and the indifferent of life's interruptions. Now, here's your host, Chris and Carlette.
Keep believing, don't go stressing, keep it moving. God, we're resting, here to help you, here to bless you. With God on our side, CNC Life.
All right, we are back. You can't hear me? You can't hear me, of all people.
Everything's plugged in. I can't hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay.
All right.
Am I muted?
Hold on while we figure out these technical difficulties. Oh. There we go.
Hey, there we go. Just like that.
Yeah, it's because of your show that we do that I have to reconfigure everything and
Okay.
the what is it called? The Canning with Carlette.
Canning
so tell
with
us about
Carlette.
that
It was a actual success, another success. I'm grateful. It was class number 5. We did applesauce, we did caramel apple jam, and we did apple tart with a twist. So it not only was it canning with Carlette, it was baking with Carlette, and I shared a recipe that I do that I love actually. But the twist was, instead of a regular dough, I did it with a cinnamon roll dough. How about that? So, I just, I'm grateful. It was really good. Okay. So double. She says she's hearing double. Okay. So, we had people to participate, some registered just to have access to the video. And that's the good thing about it. When you register for Canning with Carlette for that particular class, after the class is over, you are then sent the video because it is recorded. We do go live, and it is recorded, and you can have it so you can watch it over and over again. If you want to make the recipes over again, something you didn't catch, something you may not remember, or some tips that I shared, and you have full access. Some people cannot attend the class live, but they will again register for access to the video, and they can watch and can on their own time. But you are also given a supply list of what you need for every recipe, every piece of equipment, every tool, and just want to equip the people. So far we've done strawberry preserves, we've done salsa, marinara sauce. We've done stewed tomatoes. We have canned fresh corn and fresh green beans. We have done pico de gallo. We have done peaches, and then of course this time we dealt with apples. So,
Okay. All right.
Anybody want to join? Actually, our next class is in November 13th, and we will be doing cranberry sauce as well as another dessert that I will be sharing. That's again near to dear to my heart, and you can go to my page, Chris's page, whichever one, and get on that Eventbrite link and register for the next class.
There it is.
Yep, there it is. All right, so listen.
Oh, wait.
What happened?
I'm trying to get this lower third to come up here. Let's see here. Switch. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So you don't like this new look of?
No, I don't. It makes you look older. I like the goatee. We're going to stick with that.
What
he's trying to do is growing his beard, is growing in white, with specks of black, so more salt than pepper. But I prefer the goatee. Not that he looks bad. It just, to me, it ages him. And some people can do it. I don't prefer that look on you.
So
it's some things you don't prefer that I do, such as, i.e., I don't wear hats to church because of you. So since I gave up hats, I think you can give up the gray beard. How about that?
So what you're telling me?
I think that's an equal exchange. I mean, I can get away with a fascinator with you every now and then. Maybe I had it, but on a consistent basis, no.
So I think, so I can't keep, so you want me to cut it off tonight?
It's up to you.
I
when
was
you
trying
want
to see
cut it
if-
off.
how it looked, because
No, it just I really gotta look.
Pastor
when I-
J's my bill.
That's your bill, and it looks amazing on him. I had to give it to my brother. He looks good with it. I just don't think that's the look for you.
Terrence is on
I can imagine.
chiming in.
Okay.
All right, so I guess that's it for me then, because you don't like my new look, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it.
If you want to keep it, that's on you. I can't say I will compliment you on it or something. I'm not saying you look bad or not. I just think it ages you. That's all I'm saying.
You don't want an older man.
You're old enough for me.
You don't like
The
that.
age gap that we have is enough. I don't need.
Baby, back in the day, you used to.
Listen, the
Yeah.
devil is a lie. We are not doing that.
But I'm just saying,
What?
like,
You need me to take the headphones off and leave? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying.
Okay, because it can happen.
No, I'm just saying, not to, I'm just saying,
What? Really?
like, if you like an older man, then, like, you don't want me to keep it? Okay, all right, I'll cut it off.
I just did a countdown in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. Okay.
All right, well, we have guests that are patiently waiting.
We do, but before we go on to that, we must, and I mean must mention of the first Black U.S. Secretary of State, Colin Powell, General Colin Powell.
Yeah, I woke up to that news this morning.
Yeah, that made my mouth drop. Evan was like, "What's going on?" And to try to explain that to him, he was like, "Who's that?" But yeah. But when you read more into the story,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing was complications of COVID-19. Well, in addition to that, he had also had multiple myeloma, which is a form of cancer of the plasma cells that suppresses your body's immune system.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that going on. You got COVID going on. It affects your immune system. So it's like a double hit, really.
I just wonder how he got COVID. Like,
And he was vaccinated.
yeah, that's
He was vaccinated.
amazing.
But again, you have to look at the other situation that was going on.
He was a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Oh, okay.
Yes, for
okay.
all the Kappas noobs out there.
Yeah.
I wonder, are they going to do something special for him? Like
You talking about the Kappas?
Mm-hmm.
That would be good.
Yeah, that would be. All right.
That would be good.
Go ahead, baby. Introduce our guest.
Well,
Oh, you got something else?
I'm trying to get. I don't know why it's not allowing me to pull up stuff.
What are you trying to do?
Because I watch on here and watch the comments. So
Just
we
watch
can
it
talk,
on there.
I guess. Okay. So listen, we have been planning this for some time now, that we do a book review of Chris and our book, Life's Interruptions, His Beauty, Her Battle. Okay. And we had very good response. People read the book quickly, some in a day, men and women. I just got a message, someone else just purchased the book, and we want to do a roundtable discussion to have people that come on that completed the book and talk about it, talk about the book, what they thought of the book, and we talk about it. It's also an opportunity to ask some questions, because I remember when our one particular guest said, I have questions. I said, save it for the round table. So we are here for that. We will give some information, but some stuff, guys, you have to go and buy the book. And like I said before, if everybody purchased a book that said they were going to, we would be sold out. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So please welcome. Okay, please welcome. We have two guests on. We have Mrs. Keisha Blakely, and we have the pastor, Gary Bush.
He's a second timer.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
Yes,
Pastor
he
Bush.
is. He has been on guest on here
Keisha is
before.
our first.
Share
I wish we
wisdom
had
with
the
us.
what's the little thing that was Madison on Sirius when we have first time guests, he rings.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, wait, oh,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
wait, 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 wait,
What do you
wait.
have?
Uh-oh.
You have something.
Let's see here. Let's see here. We're gonna play this one. First time guest.
Okay. All right.
I'll take that.
Let's see what. Hey, we have Pastor Bush. We're gonna play this one.
What?
But praise
Right.
strength, praise strength. Listen,
Okay,
he only
okay.
got 30 minutes.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on. So
I thought you were
listen,
getting ready to play a Church of God in Christ
Church.
anthem.
Yeah.
right? The anthem.
Well,
He hasn't built that one in yet. Give him time.
This is the Church of
There you
God.
go.
Wait, do you want the old version or the new version of that
Right.
song?
Only,
Right.
only the old version.
Only the
old
I'm
version.
with you on that. Yes, I am with you on that.
The
So-
old authentic version.
Authentic version.
Authentic.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen, I promise you, the first time I heard the remix, as I call it, I was like, well, who did this? I'm like, okay, let's go with it. So, thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you all for supporting us.
Yes.
Definitely supporting
you.
us, being there. I remember when Keisha got her book, she called me several times while she was reading it. Oh my God, did this really happen? Yes, sweetie, it happened. This is a real book. This is a real story. And versus Pastor Bush, he was like, I know it to be true because I was there. I know it to be because his name is mentioned in this book, him and his wife. And I'm telling you, let's just dive in. Let's dive in. Okay. So this book, of course, is written. You heard two perspectives. You heard his perspective and mine, but you heard more of his because there are a lot of support groups for us women who were diagnosed with breast cancer, going through it. There's plenty of support groups. My husband, I remember him saying, and I mentioned it in the book, that he felt like I was joining a sorority because instantly it was like things, all kind of support. Oh, join this group, do this. Oh, we're gonna put you with this, and you start getting pink everything and ribbons and pins and T-shirts and boas and the feather boa. Matter of fact, I gotta get me a new one. And it was just one thing after another. Bags, socks. I'm telling you, I got a lot of stuff. I even got oven mitts. Okay, so it was so much, but he wanted to write this book for the audience that seemed to not have a voice or that seemed to be hurting in silence because they're trying to be strong for the one that is going through it. Now, I can easily say, you take me out the story, there is no story, which is true.
True.
But his side is strong as well because it is hard to go through this, let alone with a support group. But I can't imagine without. I cannot imagine without. So that's what I want to start it off with as far as why we did it. That was our why. To give voice to maybe the voiceless, to let them know you're not the only one. Because, people may feel cornered or alone in this by themselves when there's a lot of people suffering in silence when going through something like this.
Yes.
So, how
I mean, this is the Carlette Live show, so
Chris?
Ah.
no, I mean,
Well, I'll say something.
Oh,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that when you were saying, Carlette, when I called you and I was just like, wow, did this really happen? It was because of that reason. The person that's experiencing the cancer is glamorized, we can say, right? And the person that, like, the spouse that becomes the caregiver, the helper, is not heard. And so for me to actually hear, it was very just raw and authentic, of how Chris felt in this story, I was just like, really? This happened?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't really hear those stories a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a mental health counselor, a lot of times this particular population don't want to come in. Men don't want to come in because they want to be seen as the fixer. They
Right.
want to be known as the hero. And so they don't come and get that help that they need. And so that's why I was thoroughly shocked when I read the story and heard his side of it. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this. At that time, that was the year it was 2000. Oh Lord. It was 2006 to 2007. Okay. Were you in the family yet? Were you married into the
Um,
family yet?
I wasn't married till 2008, but I was definitely in the family a little bit.
Okay. Okay. No, and I say that because I was trying to remember. I'm like, when did I really meet her? So, and I remember I met you at a family reunion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And y'all
Yeah.
were married by then, and I wasn't invited to
Yes,
the
we
wedding.
were.
Okay. So, and I wasn't invited to Pastor Gary's either.
Boy.
Okay. So,
Oh.
listen. Okay. So, what do you have to say, Pastor Bush?
Wow. Well, my experience was different from Keisha's because it was a very, first of all, the book is excellently written.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I read it over 2 nights. I read half the first night, second half the second night. And what was so emotional about reading it was as if we were reliving it
Mm.
Wow.
as I was reading it because you have to remember I got really close to you guys
Mm-hmm.
when Sandra first she introduced me to you guys and we start hanging out a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and so close to you guys that it's funny that sometimes I have to remember that you guys are my cousins by marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
And as I was reading the book, the memories just started coming back of actually walking through. I would read something and I would say, I remember that. And I
Mm-hmm.
would read something else and say, I remember that. And it was just amazing. It was amazing.
Wow.
You guys did an excellent
I,
job reading this book. Excuse me, writing this book.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
Excellent.
you. Thank you.
I was gonna say that what Pastor Gary was just said about reliving it. It was interesting, even in the story. I know a portion of it, and I definitely won't reveal too much because people need to read it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But part of Chris's story was inclusive of him reliving a family member having a cancer and then him having to experience with his spouse. And in the mental health field, a lot of people experience that, what we call PTSDs, post traumatic
Mm-hmm.
stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And what Pastor Gary Bush just talked about was what we call the flashbulb effect. Something triggers a memory and
Mm-hmm.
you relive that emotion, you relive what you felt, you relive all of that. For instance, if I asked you, what was you doing on 9/11? We all
Mm-hmm.
have some
Mm-hmm.
memory of what happened. We could probably tell very vivid details about what
Mhm.
happened. And so when I was reading that part with Chris, I was like, oh my God, I could only imagine how that this situation took him back to begin to feel all type of emotions, not just for his spouse, but a previous family member. And a
Right.
lot of people go through that when they are caregivers of someone that's experiencing this. But yeah,
Now,
that's
I
all I'll
will
say about
tell
that.
you this to add to about the PTSD or the flash bulb, um,
Yep. Hmm.
is that every when you come out of this, and I think I explained it in the book. While you're
Hmm.
in it, you kind of, for me, it's like I was kind of floating through it.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay,
Mhm.
and I know that was all God,
Hmm.
but yet you feel, I felt a sense of safety
Uh huh.
because it's like, well, I'm in treatment. I'm actively in treatment. It's being handled. We're fighting this, that, and the other. But as soon as that treatment ends, then you have to
Yes.
start life after.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I talked about that in the book.
Yes,
Life
you did.
after is real. and so is
Yes.
PTSD, and so is the moments and the triggers and the reminders, but so is God. And
Yes.
learning how to know when to insert God, insert God, insert God. And because the fear can take you, can overtake you. And the thing about it is that every year, when you come out, you have to what they call surveillance. He asked the question, what were we thinking when we had to read the book again after we read it, basically the final draft, the final editing before we said okay, and did we relive it? Yes, there were some moments that were relived. Yes, there was definitely some memories, and there were times I would feel the emotion, and it's like, do I continue pondering in this, or get back to the mind of the editor, or it's just, did I cover everything? It was so much, like, for example, if you read in the dedication and to our spiritual mother, that's when I mentioned about the letters from the funeral home, and it's nowhere in the story, in the storyline. And so the editor, she said, "Oh my God, I wish you would have told me about this." And I was just like, I thought I did. I mean, it was just so much, shockers, but stuff that it was like stuff that was supposed to wipe you out, but at the same time, the Lord kept me. Seriously. It was stuff I did not experience. If it was going on, it went around me, went over me. But yet and still, I had my hard times at this. I had hard moments. Like the first time I didn't take one of my pre-meds. It's in the book. I never felt that in my life. I said I wouldn't wish this on my enemy. And I understood the need for the pre-med. And I fought through it because I was determined I want to go to the movies and I want to go out to dinner.
I remember that.
Yeah, I didn't go to the movies. I did go to dinner though, because he made me. He's like, "No, you going home, you going to bed." Yes, I had my superwoman moments where I just I pushed through, because that's what I don't know.
It's like
She just texted and said she should go out and come back in.
Oh.
And she's doing that. So I hope I'm answering your question. What about you, Chris, as far as like,
when I read the book,
yeah, the final draft, when we had to read and said,
Yes, how
okay.
did you guys feel?
when I first read it, I was just like, wow. I mean, this is a story that it has some depth to it. Like, it's not like an ordinary book that you just read, you just pick up off the shelf. I mean, it has some depth. It has some how-tos, what not to do. I mean, it told the God honest truth. And so that's what really just put me in awe. Like, this is the final product. This is something that eventually I want to do other things with this book. And I don't know. It was just, it was, I don't know, the feeling that, and plus is, so like all of this was a culmination of, okay, we wrote this book, and then on the other side of that, it was like, this is your first book, and this thing, just, I don't know. It was just like, wow.
I will tell this. It was some stuff I learned that I didn't know. Because
I was gonna
again,
ask
he
that.
he hid from me. Like, I didn't know that he had a whole breast moment where it was just all flashing in his face. I didn't know that. I didn't know that till the book wrote. I even, when I was reading the manuscript, I put it down. I said, "You went through that? Sitting up? Where were you? Were sitting in the clinic? The clinic when you went through that? About, it was like breasts everywhere and."
Mm-hmm.
No, you just like, for me, this thing is like, just like walking down the street, you just like have these moments, like, man,
Just in you, just pop.
Just-
Wow, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
But then
How did
huh?
how did you feel when you read the part I mean, one of the chapters even start off with you saying,
Mm-mm. Chapter
nope,
one. You talking about chapter one? Oh
the
no, no.
very
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
What page?
okay.
What
Well,
page? What
they have
page?
to
They
read
have to
that.
read
What
that.
page? What page?
That's the
Yeah,
first
because that was
chapter.
a
Oh.
shocker to me. I
It's
actually got
shocking.
mad at you reading that.
Oh.
You know what she's talking
Oh
about.
yeah.
No,
Well,
don't.
Let me jump in.
okay.
Okay.
I felt the same way because for a moment I was like, in fact, I even discussed this with my wife, with Sandra. I read that part and I was like,
Mhm.
he know I love Carlette. He know.
Right.
And I was like, I couldn't believe,
Yeah.
but that tells us, and maybe Keisha can talk more to this than I can, but it tells you sometimes we say things in the heat of the moment
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes.
we're thinking like, did I just say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Chris,
But I think that
I couldn't believe you said that, man.
I'm sorry.
but
Yes, I actually
that was his
I got mad too.
reality. But that was his actual reality. And once
Yeah.
I stepped back from being sensitive to Carlette and read it in the therapist mindset, I was like,
Uh-huh.
wow, kudos to him for actually sharing that moment with the world because people could just look at you like you crazy just off
Right.
that one part.
Right.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
were able to share that, and that was your reality in that moment. And a lot of men don't say what they really feel. And when I reread it, I was like, this is how he really feels. I have to be empathetic
Mm-hmm.
towards his feelings, and I had to think of it a different way from your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just like, oh, you just said something about my cousin Carlette.
I mean, but okay. So in my defense,
Defend
um,
yourself. Defend yourself.
y'all know how Carlette can be sometimes. In my defense, y'all know how she is sometimes stubborn and
Yeah,
so we'll
I
praise the
get you.
Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that it was just more sensitive because of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because naturally, when
Yeah.
when marriage couples get into a heated discussion, you say a lot of things that maybe have been hidden that you didn't
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
say,
Yes.
in a normal, regular conversation. But I think because of the sensitivity of the situation, that was a shocker to some of us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, you really said that?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, but it's not abnormal at all for
Mm-hmm.
those type of moments to happen. I
Mm-hmm.
guess it was heightened because of the
Right.
situation.
And
I think that could be that could be an entire segment
Hmm.
itself of
Yeah.
how, because we know we hear the cliches that those closest to you can hurt you the deepest,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and there is no question that Chris
Mm.
loves his wife Carlette, but at that moment that was his reaction,
Yeah.
and it was just unbelievable. But and then
Hmm.
I don't like using the word transparency a lot, but the courage
Mm-hmm.
that you
Yeah.
guys displayed throughout the book, because there's another section I couldn't believe you guys included in the book, but the
uh-huh.
courage that you
Uh-huh.
guys
Yeah.
displayed
Mm-hmm.
throughout the
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
was amazing. It was amazing.
Wow.
And
And
I was gonna say this one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carlette.
I know what you're talking about, even though you did not say what it was,
Yeah.
because we had to say it because it happened.
Hmm.
It happened. It has nothing to do with saving face, but we did not disclose names.
Hmm.
We but it happened, and it was a
Hmm.
lesson in it for all.
Hmm.
Mm,
It's a lesson in it for all, what to do, what not to do.
Hmm.
And
absolutely.
see yourself. It's okay to see yourself in the book and say, what would I do? Now, first of all, you don't know what you're doing until you put up to it. But
Hmm.
it's situation like this that you read, and if you're brought into a situation that may be similar, you can reflect back and say, do I want to be that person that I read about?
Right.
Hmm.
Do I want to do what they did?
Hmm.
And hear me, Pastor Bush, I know exactly what you're talking about. uh and we did we we got phone calls saying
Mhm.
Did
that
you guys struggle?
what not to do. And because you ask yourself, if I were in that role, would I do that? Would I say that?
Mm.
And ask yourself if you're ever brought, not to, it has to be something directly like this, but something that would put you maybe in a hard place, like reflect back to this story. Do I want to be that person?
Mhm.
Am I making
Exactly.
sense?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And there's a couple of other there's one other section in the book where you guys discuss the insensitivity of
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
spiritualists,
Right.
those that were trying to go
Yes.
real deep into the causes and the reasons that
Right.
you were diagnosed. And I was very happy that you guys gave description of what people were saying,
Mhm.
because when we are ministering to someone, we still need to be aware of what we're saying. The spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet. That means we can
Mhm.
control what we say. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter how deep we are in the spirit, we can control what we say. And some of the things that you shared were ridiculous. I couldn't believe people were
Mhm.
saying that to you,
Mhm.
knowing what you were going through, and they were trying. It was just ridiculous.
So
So yes, I there were some moments that were relived. Yes, there was some, definitely some memories. And there were times I would feel the emotion. And it's like, do I continue pondering in this, or get back to the mind of the editor, or
Mhm.
it's this, did I cover everything? It was so much, like, for example, if you read in the dedication and to our spiritual mother, that's what I mentioned about the letters from the funeral home, and it's nowhere in the story, in the storyline. And
Mm.
so the editor, she said, "Oh my God, I wish you would have told me about this." And I was just like, I thought I did. I mean, it was just so much, shockers, but stuff that it was like stuff that was supposed to wipe you out, but at the same time, the Lord kept me. Seriously. It was stuff I did not experience. If it was going on, it went around me, went over me. Um, but yet and still, I had my hard times at this. I had hard moments, like the first time I didn't take one of my pre meds. It's in the book. I never felt that in my life. I said I wouldn't wish this on my enemy, and I understood the need for the pre med.
Mhm.
Um, and I fought through it because I was determined. I want to go to the movies and I want to go out to dinner.
Yeah, I
End
remember
Yeah,
that.
I didn't go to the movies. I did go to dinner though, because he made me. He's like, "No, you going home. You going to bed."
Mhm.
Yes, I had my superwoman moments where I just um I pushed through, because that's what um I don't know.
it's like
She just texted and said she should go out and come back in,
oh,
and she's doing that. So I hope I'm answering your question. What about you, Chris? As far as like,
when I read the book,
yeah, the final draft, when we had to read and said,
Yes. How
okay.
did you guys feel?
I was when I first read it, I was just like, wow. I mean, this is a story that gives it has some depth to it. Like, it's not like an ordinary book that you just read, you just pick up off the shelf. I mean, it has some depth. It has some how to's, what not to do. I mean, it told the God honest truth. And so that's what really got, you know, just put me in awe. Like, this is the final product. This is something that eventually I want to do other things with this book. And I don't know. It was just, it was, I don't know, the feeling that, and plus is, so like all of this was a culmination of, okay, we wrote this book, and then other side of that, it was like, this is your first book, and it's like this, and not to be braggadocious or anything, but it was just like our first book came out, just this thing, just I don't know, it was just like, wow.
I will tell this. I it was some stuff I learned that I didn't know. Because
I was
again,
gonna ask that.
he hid from me. Like I didn't know that he had a whole breast moment where it was just all flashing in his face. I didn't know that. I didn't know that till the book wrote. I even when I was reading the manuscript, I put it down. I said, "You went through that sitting up? Where were you? Were sitting in the clinic? The clinic when you went through that? About it was like breasts everywhere and
Mm-hmm.
No, you just like, for me, this thing is like, just like walking down the street, you just like have these moments, like, man,
just in you,
yeah,
just pop.
just-
Wow, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
But then it,
How did
huh?
how did you feel when you read the part? I mean, it one of the chapters even start off with you saying,
Chapter
nope,
one. You talking about chapter one? Oh
the
no, no.
very
Yeah, no.
What page?
okay.
What
Well, they'd have
page?
to
What
they have
page?
to
They
read
have to
that.
read that.
What page? What page?
That's the
Yeah,
first
because
chapter.
that was a
Oh.
shocker to me. I
It's
actually got
shocking.
mad at you reading that.
Oh,
You know what she's talking
oh
about.
yeah.
No,
Well,
don't.
let me jump in.
okay.
Okay.
I felt the same way because for a moment I was like, in fact, I even discussed this with my wife, with Sandra. I read that part and I was like,
Mhm.
he know I love Carlette. He know.
Right.
And I was like, I couldn't believe,
Yeah.
but that tells us, and maybe Keisha can talk more to this than I can, but it tells you sometimes we say things in the heat of the moment
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes.
we're thinking like, did I just say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Chris,
But I think that
I couldn't believe you said that, man.
I'm sorry.
but
Yeah,
that was his
I got mad too.
reality. But that was his actual reality. And once
Yeah.
I stepped back from being sensitive to Carlette and read it in the therapist mindset, I was like,
Uh-huh.
wow, kudos to him for actually sharing that moment with the world because people could just look at you like you crazy just off
Right.
that one part.
Right.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
were able to share that, and that was your reality in that moment. And a lot of men don't say what they really feel. And when I reread it, I was like, this is how he really feels. I have to be empathetic
Mm-hmm.
towards his feelings, and I had to think of it a different way from your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just like, oh, you just said something about my cousin Carlette.
I mean, but okay. So in my defense,
Defend yourself. Defend yourself.
y'all know how Carlette can be sometimes. In my defense, y'all know how she is sometimes, stubborn, and
Yeah,
So well,
I
praise the
get you.
Lord. Yeah, yeah.
But I think that it was just more sensitive because of the situation.
Hmm.
Because naturally, when
Yeah.
marriage couples get into a heated discussion, you say a lot of things that maybe have been hidden that you didn't
Hmm.
Yes.
say,
Yes.
in a normal, regular conversation. But I think because of the sensitivity of the situation, that was a shocker to some of us. Like,
Hmm.
wow, you really said that?
Hmm. Hmm.
So yes, but it's not abnormal at all for those type of moments to happen. I guess it was heightened because of the
Right.
situation.
And
I think that could be an entire segment
Hmm.
itself of
Yeah.
how, because we know we hear the cliches that those closest to you can hurt you the deepest,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and there is no question that Chris
Mm,
loves his
mm.
wife Carlette, but at that moment that was his reaction,
Yeah.
and it was just unbelievable. But and then
Hmm.
the I don't like using the word transparency a lot, but the courage
Hmm.
that you
Yeah.
guys displayed throughout the book, because there's another section I couldn't believe you guys included in the book, but the
uh-huh.
courage that you
Uh-huh.
guys
Yeah.
displayed
Hmm.
throughout the
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
was amazing. It was amazing.
Wow.
And
And
I was gonna say this one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carlette.
I know what you're talking about, even though you did not say what it was,
Yeah.
because we had to say it because it happened.
Mhm.
It happened. It has nothing to do with saving face, but we did not disclose names.
Mhm.
We but it happened, and it was a
Mhm.
lesson in it for all.
Mhm.
Mm,
It's a lesson in it for all, what to do, what not to do.
Mhm.
And
absolutely.
see yourself. It's okay to see yourself in the book and say, what would I do? Now, first of all, you don't know what you're doing until you put up to it.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
it's situation like this that you read, and if you're brought into a situation that may be similar, you can reflect back and say, do I want to be that person that I read about?
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Do I want to do what they did?
Mhm.
And and hear me, Pastor Bush, I know exactly what you're talking about. Uh and we we got phone calls saying,
Mhm.
did
Did
that?
you guys struggle? Did you struggle with that part, whether or not you should
Yeah.
include it or not?
I didn't.
I don't think we
I just
struggled.
I just want to make sure, no names.
Okay.
Because again, it was seriously like, please learn a lesson in this. We
Yeah.
went through this not only for us, but we went through it for others.
Other
There
people.
is a
Mhm.
lesson in this in all roles involved. If you catch my
Oh,
drift.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, what to do, what not to do. And because you ask yourself, if I were in that role, would I do that? Would I say that?
Mm.
And ask yourself, if you're ever brought, not to, it has to be something directly like this, but something that would put you maybe in a hard place, like, reflect back to this story. Do I want to be that person?
Mhm.
Am I making
Exactly.
sense?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And there's a couple of other there's one other section in the book where you guys discuss the insensitivity of um
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
spiritualists,
Right.
those that were trying to go
Yes.
real deep into the causes and the reasons that
Right.
you were diagnosed. And I was very happy that you guys gave description of what people were saying,
Mhm.
because when we are ministering to someone, we still need to be aware of what we're saying. The spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet. That means we can
Mm.
control what we say. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter how deep we are in the spirit, we can control what we say. And some of the things that you shared were ridiculous. I couldn't believe people were
Mhm.
saying that to you,
Mhm.
knowing what you were going through, and they were trying. It was just ridiculous.
It's like, let me ask y'all this in regards to that. Do y'all think that's a cultural thing?
It's a lack of training thing.
Well, just go ahead and share what was some of those things were said.
I'll just say one thing,
So
Yeah.
put some context around it.
that I went through this because of unforgiveness in my heart.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And I promise you, it was just like, wow. Um,
I don't think that people realize sometimes that that inflicts another level of torture in the mind.
mm-hmm,
Wow.
And for you
Wow.
to have to already been tortured by the fact that I have this situation, I'm trying to get through it, I'm trying to keep my mind focused. And I think you even said you had to literally begin to block things and people out and just keep your mind focused like,
mm-hmm,
I'm right here, Jesus. We right here. We going here.
mm-hmm.
But people don't realize that some of the things that you're saying, it creates this other side of torture to you where you begin to question, okay, well, where could this unforgiveness, like, you go
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
but and that alone, that's too much to have to add on to you trying to as you said, float through your
Mhm.
situation and
Mhm.
get through it. And
Mhm.
so,
I agree with that.
um, yeah, I don't know that baffled me as well, Pastor Gary. When I read that as well, it really hurt my heart because people don't understand the dynamics of. I mean, we say a lot of times words are powerful.
Mhm.
Life and death is in the through the tongue, and sometimes those words like that can be very deadly to the
Mhm.
mind.
Mhm.
Mm.
Wow.
Well, even in that, I had to forgive.
Yes, the person that
Seriously.
had unforgiveness had to forgive.
Right. It's almost like, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they
No,
do.
not what.
Like, seriously. And
Ah,
um, you got to let it roll off, because it now, hear me good. It,
I'm recording, by the way, too. So I'm
it,
just gonna re-upload the video because
it,
it's.
it wasn't, thanks, babe. It wasn't,
uh-huh.
an instant, because like you said, I was dealing with that. It took a shaking
Yeah.
from
Mm,
God Himself. What did I tell you? And I
Mhm.
said that in the book. What did I tell you?
Mhm.
And I had to be, shaken to be reminded. No, that was not what was said to you. Was said to you before you even knew anything, for
Mm.
months.
mm.
Mm.
And it was so funny. Right after that happened, people start calling me saying, "Well, I just want to encourage you and remind you that this, that," and they didn't know what they were saying. I knew what
Mhm.
they were saying. Their
Mhm.
timing was impeccable. And that's not in the book. But,
Mm.
I knew what they were saying, and it was timely, because they didn't know the mental battle that I was
Got you.
going through, trying to come out of, you know. So,
Mhm.
and there was some stuff. Matter of fact, he didn't know nothing about that. You didn't know nothing about it to the book.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know that, because this one here, I can't tell him everything.
I understand that.
I can't.
Why
Cause
is
this
that?
this one would be like, go knocking on doors and making phone
I
calls.
don't blame them.
I'm like, that's one of them I had to hold on to.
That's a lesson in that as
Mhm.
well. Wives,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't have to tell your
Yeah.
husbands everything,
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
because if you know how they're going to
Because the
react
man
in
wants
this
to
time,
fix it for us.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And he got a
Absolutely.
That's
way
why
of
I
He wants
did
to
fixing it.
what.
fix it.
Yeah, that's
That
why I did what I did when I tried to give her something. So I was trying to fix it.
he was
Yep.
trying to fix it. And
But
I
didn't you feel like you were saying that in the book that was one of the major things that was hurtful for you was that it was a situation that you could not fix for your wife.
Yeah, yeah,
You had
yeah,
no control.
yeah.
Mm.
After that, it was just like I give up. I have no control. I
And
mean, and
Chris, when I read that part, excuse me, that was important for me as well. When I read that
Mm.
part, I felt your sense of isolation. I felt your sense of helplessness.
mhm.
You
Mhm.
communicated that in the book very, very
Yeah.
excellently. How you felt so helpless.
Wow,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, even to the point where uh, should I? You know, I'll just go ahead and say it. You never know how much someone means to you until they go through something
Mhm.
like
Mm,
this. And that just made me feel again like I'm helpless. I can't do anything. And then I get frustrated at the same time because I'm like, Carlette, why don't we try XYZ? And no, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. And
Mhm.
so that was another, my hands felt like they were tied. And, you get frustrated with God, you get frustrated with wives or the spouse or what have you. And then you just kind of almost give up, you know?
Don't don't you think that there's this hopelessness in the lack of control?
Mm.
That's true.
W-
Yes.
when you felt like I had no control, like you tried to give every type of option to your wife and she still wanted to be the person to say, nope, not doing it, not
Right.
doing that.
Right.
It
Right.
probably would have made you feel better if you would have been the person that was able to give some resolve. Like, Carlette tried this worked well, like that would
Right.
have made you feel I fixed it,
Right. Right.
I helped it. But you had, even in that, you could not get any control over the
Yeah.
situation because she continued to, in a sense, deny your
Yeah.
options.
Right. Right. Even when it came down to like the mastectomy and just that and the reconstruction and all that, I'm just like, you know what? This ain't I don't have any skin in this game. So,
Yeah, that's
How
where I
does,
was going to go next.
Mhm.
I
yeah, how do,
I was going to go there next and
yeah,
ask you when, without giving out, the details, because people really should read this book.
really?
When it was almost as if Carlette punished you for what happened in that one episode, and then when you talked about being excluded for a period of time, for
Hmm.
a season,
Mhm.
I remember
she
that.
was making decisions and was not including you. That
Yeah.
was a pivotal part of the book, I felt, as well.
Yeah, I was a little upset.
And even in marriage, like how I think that from a broader scope, when someone reads that,
Mhm.
it can really define some things for people that are in marriages and going through situations like this. Like, what my question to follow up with yours, Pastor Gary, because I was going there as well, is what advice would you give to someone looking back, Carlette? How would you handle that situation differently? Or,
Mm.
would you have changed that?
Nope, not at all.
She's a
I
rare
Because
knew she was going
breed.
to say that.
She's a rare breed,
I'm
so
serious, because y'all hear that's the one y'all just discussing his side. That's why the book has two sides in it.
I know.
Uh,
That's
So we
just
need to hear
discussing him.
that.
So my side was the fact that I got an opportunity to go lower in size because he
mm,
was wanting to reproduce what I had. And I said,
Mm,
and the doctor even said, we can't even do that. That was natural what you had. We can't produce that. That we can't give you that back. And
mm.
and I told him I don't want it back. I even was like, if we can, I was bringing in fruit. I had a fruit. I was like, if we could do this, because I do understand that fat plays a part, over time, it can, but if we can do this, man, you know how happy I was. I
mm,
remember, I shared it with it was somebody in church, and they just looked at me like,
maybe you're doing that on
oh,
TV.
I'm sorry. My eye was bothering me. I'm sorry. I said, and they were just looking at me, and I had to remember I was talking to a person, and come out of my moment of I was excited about what was to come. But mind
Mm.
you, that did not come until 7 years later. That wasn't instant. It wasn't like
mm,
they're doing it now. They replacing
yeah.
stuff the day of. I didn't get that. And
Mm.
can
Mm,
you imagine years later I come find out that what they did to me they're not even doing anymore?
mhm.
I'm like,
What?
God, some of the treatment
What?
that I went through, they're not even doing
It's
anymore.
changed. Yeah.
Like what?
I wouldn't have had my
That arm thing, right?
the situation with my arm.
Yeah.
They
Oh.
they they wouldn't have did how much they did of it. But God
Mm.
is still good because that all been rectified. I can't even wear those sleeves no more. It makes it worse
Mm,
instead of help me. The Lord help me because now I can wear my wedding ring. We brought that up in church yesterday. How I was prayed for in my church, my current church, and I promise you, I was watching, and this was what 7 years ago this time that I was able to wear my wedding ring again. We
mm,
was in
Wow.
church, and I went to the elder. I said, I'm tired of wearing this stuff on my sleeve, and I want to wear my wedding ring again. And so I was sitting up watching the Koji convention. So, that takes you to the beginning of November. And while sitting there, all of a sudden, my sleeve just dropped down on my arm. That had never happened. And I went and tried on my ring and I could wear it while sitting there watching church. I made the longest, and it still comes up in my Facebook memories. It was a long post, and I put on there long post report. So I know what God can do despite you've been cut on, you've been changed, you're not the same. God still works in miracles. He still it's miracles even in the details.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you something. I don't care what you're going through. If God ever brought you out of anything, if you've experienced a healing, a miracle, or whatever, God did it for you, don't ever think it's old. And I don't care if it was 20 years ago. Don't ever think it's old because somebody needs to hear it. I was listening to the song by Maverick City Music. I've been having on repeat today. It's called Million Little Miracles. Million Little Miracles. And it's a verse, it's a little verse phrase that says, don't let me get used or like get used to it.
Yeah.
Don't let me get used to it. I don't want to get used to it. I want to still let it still excite me and be fresh and bless me. And I began to repent. Lord, if I got common with my miracle, I'm sorry. That was in my heart.
Wow.
If I start being grateful and start thinking this is no longer relevant because it happened 15, 16 years ago, no, somebody needs to hear it. Now, no two stories are alike, but it's still a miracle and it still can bless somebody because it gives people hope. God is still doing it. And I say to anybody with any situation, remind me not to put on eyeliner anymore. Any situation that it's like, if you remember in the beginning of the book, I said, I do not receive this. And guys, I still watch what comes out of my mouth. I do not have, I have not had, I never claim ownership of it. And I know y'all like, that's a play. No, you have what you say. And I don't care if they can show you an x-ray. I don't care. It ain't mine.
But there was also that also I remember reading in the book, there was a section where Chris had to adjust how he communicated with you because of your declarations. And Chris, you remember you writing that part where you talked about you had to be careful of what you would say, the words you would use because of her declaration, her faith declarations.
Right. Yeah. And still to this day, she still sometimes corrects me, you know.
She do that with everybody.
Right. Mama Carlette. So, but, yeah. So, and I totally agree. And I take that to heart too, just on, you know, on a personal level, when it comes to things that I'm going through, you know, she either I check myself or Carlette checks me and say, no, you don't have that. You don't own that. So, you know, that's very true. You know, and when it comes to your health and things like that, you know, but we still have to do the necessary things.
Yeah, you still do the necessary things. I wasn't in the doctor's office saying, oh, I don't and I don't. I just listen. And I'm going to tell you, I had a moment because as I stated, I was floating, and it's in the book, that the Lord had to get my attention and say, hey, I need you to watch today. I need you to watch today. Because I remember what I had on. I had on my little blazer and my skirt. I was carrying my Louis Vuitton bag. I was cute. I was feeling myself that day. And I remember walking in and I heard the Lord say, I need you to watch today. I need you to pay attention. And I was like, okay, well, we going, you know. Oh, and all I could say was like, okay. And that day I paid attention and that bag said poison. By the time this happened, I had been in treatment. I was in the middle of treatment, not the beginning. I wasn't in the point that I can say, okay, stop. I'm not doing this anymore. Pay attention to the fact you have on normal clothes and everybody walking around you have on masks and shields and gloves and their bonnets on. Everything on them was covered except for maybe their a little bit of their forehead and you sit up here in just normal clothes.
Mm.
That was a catch-22. And the song that came to
Mm.
me that had come out at the time was Ty Tribbett's song. And the words was, I have no other choice but to trust you. That's all I can do. That's the only verse I knew. I started singing to myself. The tears began to fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a thing of trust. It was a thing of trust. That I trusted with my life. And I told him that I accept the assignment, but not the disease, not the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Another yes, Lord. So that's why I go hard. I go hard in prayer. I go hard. I go hard in the things of God. Because I know what he did. I know what he brought me out of. I know his power. I know his glory. I know he's real. He's sovereign.
Yes. Yes, he is.
He's
Yes,
so
he is.
sovereign. He's so sovereign. He's so sovereign. He reigns and he sits with us. And yes, he walks with us. And yes, he talks with us. And yes, he carries us. And yes, he encourages us. And he builds us up in the lowest places. When death is present, he is there. When death is present, he is there. He's there. He will never leave us nor forsake us. I am so serious. And so it's like when that moment happened, that song carried me, and the peace of God's presence came in that room because I kept singing it over and over again. And I kept singing, I have no other choice but to trust you. And then the nurses, they got quiet and they were doing their calculations, but you can tell they were reverencing the moment. They began to reverence the moment. So, when you're going through and you have your moment, I don't care where you are, it's something about the sovereignty of God. It will bow in his presence. Because me singing that song honored and ushered in his presence in that room as they were preparing to give me chemo.
Wow.
His presence came in there.
Wow.
It did. It did. And that moment is in the book.
Yeah, I remember that.
When
And I
you
remember having the same reaction.
Yeah. He was sovereign. Even in there, he was sovereign. So I had to not only pay attention to the natural, but I had to pay attention to the spiritual. And just literally just be like, I trust you. I'm out here now. I trust you.
That's it's so powerful what you're saying, and I wonder if you understand the impact of what you're saying. You are literally telling us that as you were preparing to go into chemo, you were worshiping.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That was my escape and my reality. It was my escape and it was my reality. It was my weapon.
Chris, was you experiencing those moments as well with God alone? Because I know you didn't talk. I know that you had some moments, but how was your relationship with God changed through this situation? Or
That's a good question. I know for me, not only did it bring Carlette and I closer, it brought me closer to God, knowing that He's, like she said, like He's a healer.
Yeah.
I didn't have those those experiences like she did,
Right.
because my mindset was, okay, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to, at the time Christian was, born. So my mindset was like task driven, you
Yeah.
know. And those parts where I was alone, like, that's when it just kind of hit me all of a sudden.
Mm.
But she had more, and not to say my relationship with God wasn't good then. It's just like God. I believe that God is with us all the time,
Mhm.
and he definitely was leading me and leading us,
Mhm.
in the direction we should go. Um, but it's like when you're going through, it's like, Lord, help. And
Right. Right.
sometimes
Yeah.
you don't get those one-on-one experiences, but you're just pushing through. And that's what the way I felt. I was just pushing through. Um, and when I look back, it's like that time frame for me
Mhm.
when she was diagnosed, it was almost like it was a couple days. It didn't
Mm.
seem like it lasted like 5 years.
Mm.
It seemed like it was just a
Yeah.
blur.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
just like God is, I mean, I mean,
I
he
mean,
just pushed
yeah.
us through. I mean, yeah, learn this, all right, get past it, and then let's go on to the next thing.
It
Mhm.
really coming out because I went through treatment every other week. Then I went every
Mm.
week for like, oh God, that was months. And then I went through the phase of surgery, then radiation for every day for 6.5 weeks
Mm.
every day, and still went to chemo every week.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
it went from that to, okay, it's affecting your heart now. Let's take a
Mhm.
3 week
I remember
break.
that.
Mhm.
Then it
Mm.
was, okay, come back, we'll retest. So I'm ready. I'm used to it. Like, no, you still, we can't do it. Come back. So after basically like, it was like 4 to 6 weeks of no treatment, I'm like, okay, come back. You're done. It was just shut off just like that. And then when he
Mm.
told it to me, he said, you're healed.
Mm.
That doctor said, you're healed. Not you're in
Mm.
remission, not
Mm.
none of that. He
He
said,
said you
you
healed.
are healed.
Mm.
And I'm in the middle of the highway driving, headed to a ministry event.
I remember that.
I'm like, I can't pull over. I can't. I
I
just
can't
had to
dance
get
right now.
home. I didn't know. eh, Just that quick. Cut off. Done.
Mm.
You're healed. That's what he said.
Mm.
I don't even know if you're allowed to even
But
say
that's how
that.
our God is.
That's how he is.
Wow.
God gave him
That's
to
how
say
he is.
that exactly the way he said it.
Uh huh.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He
Yep.
was God was intentional about how he delivered your
Hmm.
message to you. He said, "Let me tell you exactly what I need you to know. You are healed."
Hmm. Yep.
And that doctor used the words that he wanted you to hear. You healed.
Yeah.
You healed.
Yep.
So when I'm asked certain things when I go to the appointment, I no, I'm no. Are you in remission? No, I'm not. I'm done with it. I'm healed. And they just look. Oh, okay. Hmm. Are you? No, I'm not. That's not what he told me. No, my doctor said this. I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just as a statement of faith. This is what I was told.
Yeah. I almost feel like we need to do a round 2 and do some more with go back to you, Chris.
Yeah, most definitely. Because you know what, and I hate to give the enemy any glory out of this, but I really think this is like the worst it's been as far as the stream. We've
Yeah.
had it break up other times,
But not
but
like
not
this.
like this. And I think this is a valuable testimony, not just because of the book, but just to help people out there, help
Oh,
men,
yeah.
help women. So yeah, I know it's over time, but if you all, agree to come back and, we could share again,
Yeah.
that'd be great. And I'm, at this point I'm gonna call Xfinity and rearrange some stuff around here. So but yeah, if you all are up for it again, I appreciate it. We appreciate it. So
This was amazing. I mean, like I
Yes.
said, I just
Yes.
encourage people to really get the book.
yeah, thank you.
I do
So
too.
And the good thing
Here
about
it
it
is.
is being
Here it is.
yeah.
Yep.
thank you.
So you said
Let me
this
see all those notes in there. Let me see.
right, right.
You can't see my highlights.
Okay. Oh wow.
Pages of things. Pages of
Wow.
things. Look, and then I had inserts of things from like psychology in there.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
I went in there. I know it's bad. I didn't want to show y'all that part, but I was
Oh.
dissecting y'all stuff.
That's good.
Wow,
That's
that's good. So yeah, we appreciate you all coming on, and I will schedule. We will reschedule a time, maybe second week in November, because we have a
Yeah.
couple guests coming up. So but yeah, thank you all so much, and we appreciate you
Thank
all.
Very
you for
much so.
inviting.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I love y'all. I love
We
y'all.
love
Love
y'all
you
Hope
too.
y'all
We
know
love
that.
you too. We
Love
love
y'all
you too.
And the good thing, this was recorded, so this will be replayed.
Yeah,
He
yeah. I
just-
gotta do
Okay.
some editing because I recorded I started at the point it started to act up. So,
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
so yeah. So I'm
Well,
a
thank
premiere.
you to
Thank
both
you.
of you for inviting me. And
Yeah.
if we want to do this again, I'm open to that. And Carlette, maybe you can convince you know who.
Right,
to,
right, right. Child. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna send you a picture of what she texts me. God bless her.
Okay.
All right. Well, you all take it easy.
Thank
All right.
you
Love
all.
All
you
right.
guys.
Love you
y'all
too.
Be
All
blessed.
right.
All
You
right.
too.
All right.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Talk to you later. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow.
That was good.
That was
God
good.
is amazing.
You teared up
I
on me.
felt His presence. His presence is here.
I couldn't do nothing for you just then. Like what I'm supposed to do.
What do you mean?
'Cause you was crying.
No, I felt God.
No, I know that. I'm just saying.
I'm
I
just
was
grateful.
struggling whether to get a
No,
towel paper.
I'm good. Listen. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the tissue you did get. But even if I'm telling you, I still feel His presence. And that song really blessed me today, because it said I don't want to get comfortable. I don't want to get used to it. And I don't care whatever people going on in their lives. When God bring you out of something, I don't care. Don't downplay it. Don't downplay it. Because He could have not did it. Then what?
Yeah.
He could have not did it.
A lot of people don't have, your testimony.
Exactly. Thank you, Lord. And I'm grateful we're able to write it in the book. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for your vision. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And I'm done with the show. Y'all keep praying, seeking God.
We have who do we have next week? We have we have can't even think now. Jennifer.
Yeah, Jen.
Jennifer.
Jen Kamel.
Yeah, she's going to be talking about birthing.
Yes.
We're not going to tell you what type of birthing, but birthing.
Birthing.
So yeah, we will end the show now and
set it up for a replay.
Yep, set it up for a replay. Talk to you later.
The Lord be exalted.
Thanks for joining us this week on Chris and Carlette Live. Make sure to visit our website, chrisandcarlette.com. If you're on Facebook, share this broadcast. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to our show. You may also find us on Apple Podcast, where you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Let us stay in contact with you by texting CNC Live to 474747. That's CNC Live to 474747.
CNC Live.